People are often surprised when they come here. They think this garden is a lot larger than it really is. Today I want to take you through a couple of design decisions that I've used that make this garden feel twice its size, but ultimately make it easier to garden. So come on. Okay, first thing, let's talk about the arbor. So this is 3 cattle panel trellises, arbors that I set up here. This gives you so much more growing space. We got squash and tomatoes and beans and cucamelons all growing up. So if you didn't have something like this, all that would just spread out on the ground and take over. I mean, this squash would take over more than this growing boxes. This is a 4x6 bed. It would take more than that. But this gives you so much more space. On top of that, it really bisects the garden from this side and this side. So over here we have like our flower row, and we have some beds, and then we have some beds here, and then we have a hedge over here which kind of offers privacy and a lot of space for the birds and some pollinators too, which I'll get to that in a little bit. So it also creates a hallway. So I mean, I love walking down here, especially in the summer when it's hot out. It gives you all this shade. I'll probably grow the tomatoes on this side next year because the sun comes in the evening from this direction, and this still gets a little hot, but gives you shade, gives you a lot more growing space to go up. And I have other arbors, which you've seen too. I have the front arbor, I have these corner arbors, just more space to grow up. A lot of things like beans and cucumbers, they do great growing up. You don't really want them spreading out on the ground anyway. It just lets the fruit sit on the ground. It's more prone to getting rotten and getting pests and disease. So growing up is the best thing, especially for tomatoes. These are doing great. I had like a tiny bit of blight on, I believe it was this plant here. This is the Jersey Devil. I cut all those leaves out and it's got plenty of airflow now and it's back in action. This is mid-August right now and still cruising along with tons of tomatoes. I just did a huge harvest yesterday, probably like 10 pounds, honestly. Can make a lot of ketchup. And speaking of flower row, here we are. So it's a little wild right now. I had made the mistake of sowing a packet of wildflowers here 3 years ago, and they've kind of taken over. We have some purposeful plantings here. We got marigolds and salvia, sedum, coneflowers that are getting shaded out by these black-eyed Susans that took over, daisies. But the pollinators love this area. The beneficial insects love this area. And I wanted an area of flowers. Most vegetable gardens you think of are kind of just rows or raised beds. And sometimes you put some flowers in the beds. You know, I do a lot of that because I just think it looks nice and it brings those pollinators in, which we need. But I wanted a space that was really just for beauty, a place that brought you into the garden, somewhere to go to. So next year I'm going to do a reset here and I'm going to make this a cut flower garden. So I'll move all the perennials like the purple salvia and the daisies somewhere else in the yard. I want this just to be annuals, I think. Perhaps I'll have a couple perennial flowers in here. We'll have to see. But I want to have a cut flower garden here. It'll achieve all those same purposes, but it'll look even nicer because it'll all be purposefully planted. So, like I said, bring in all the good insects you can. You don't have to fight the pests so much either. Now, I'm still kind of a child at heart, to be honest, and I always loved hidden spaces when I was a kid. I loved creating little forts in the woods and having places to hide away. And I always think of the hedgerow, something like that. The space that its purpose is to kind of break the background when you're looking at the garden this way, but it gives a space for the dogs to run around. It gives a space for the birds to hide away, and it just gives you a cool view. So my plan in the future is to put a shed basically where the camera is right now, move these compost bays, but that's down the road. What I'm going to be doing this fall, and I'll walk you through it actually, is moving these blueberry bushes. They put on some growth this year, but they've never really been that happy where they're at. And I'm going to grow some more hedgerow. So I have a hedgerow that runs the entire length of the yard down to the shady part of the yard. I want to continue that here, move the compost bays back, and then we'll have hedge against the whole back of the garden. I think that's going to be really cool. And I like to create spaces where you can kind of just sit down and hide away. And I have a really cool bench I picked up on Facebook Marketplace for like 50 bucks. That's just sitting back there, really not getting used. So I'm going to probably put that back here in the hedgerow so I can just come out here, have a place to sit, have my coffee, and just a different view of the garden. And I think that's important, is to create different views within your space. This is a tiny space, but If you have a place to sit in there and a place to sit back there and a place to sit over there, every angle is giving you a different insight to your garden, a different view that you maybe wouldn't be seeing. So I think that's really cool, and it's definitely worth exploring if you have a small space. Give yourself more options of places to look with your eye. Another design principle I really try to take to heart is the idea of rooms. So it's a tiny yard, but you can place various things in different rooms and create unique spaces inside the tiny yard. So a lot of people would probably just look at this. This is a 1/4 acre. And back here is, I don't know, an 1/8 an acre maybe. And we have the barn there and the parking lot. So it's even smaller than that. And then this is just the 1/2 of that yard. So it's a tiny, tiny space. But even within that space, I have a lot of different rooms. I look at this, and these are my L beds, and this is the one room. So here I have my peppers, and I have my corner arbors. And then I have, you saw the arbor already, that's its own room. It's divided in half like a hallway. You have the hedgerow, which is its own room. And then on the other side of the yard, I'll actually show you over there, it's not a productive part of the garden, it's just a cool part of the garden. But it's important to kind of look at things like their rooms. And like I was just saying about the sitting spaces, I got to figure out a way to have a chair right here because this is such a cool part of the yard. I like to stand here actually and toss the ball to my dog because it's like one of the safe spots where like he runs up and down this main thoroughfare. So I can kind of hide back in the little L's here and not get mowed down by a 60-pound pit bull. So anyway, I'll show you the other side of the yard. It's not part of the vegetable garden, but it is another room that has, you know, a lot of interest. And so over here, this is my little potting bench. It's against the back of the barn. It gets great shade in the afternoon, which is when I need it the most. Otherwise, usually in the, in the morning, you want the sunshine. But when it's summertime and you're trying to sow fall seeds, standing out in the sun isn't very ideal. But along this is what I call the wet hedge. So these are all plants that we put here because this is the wettest part of the yard. For whatever reason, the way the land slopes, all the water kind of just collects here. And it was always pooling up on the side of the barn. So we put a willow in, adler, viburnums, 9-barks, American cranberry. There's a lilac there. And it's a tiny area again, but you can see the dog trails. The dog loves running around it. But it's another cool area of interest. And this willow tree just kind of blocks out the barn, which needs to be painted. And when I'm sitting on my patio, which is beyond it, you don't have to notice that. Productive gardens and beautiful gardens are not mutually exclusive. They're one and the same. At least that's my philosophy. I want it to be a place I want to go to. So my challenge to you would be the next time you go into your garden, don't think about where can I put another raised bed? How can I squeeze out another turnip in this space? It's important, but maybe forget that for now. Maybe just think, how can I make this a space I want to come out to for an additional 10 minutes tomorrow? Because being in your garden is really the most important tool in your arsenal. Being able to spot what's going on, see where there's gaps, see what needs to be harvested, see what's going right, see what's going wrong. And the less you're out there, the less you learn, the less you harvest, and the less useful the space is. And that's when your garden becomes just another pain point in your life, another job or a task you have to try and finish. And I'm trying to avoid all that. I want this to be a place of peace, a place of refuge from all the things that go on in the world and in your life, all the stressors. You come out here, do what you can do. I've talked about just give yourself 10 minutes out in the garden, and get done what you can get done. Walk through with your coffee and see what tasks have to be done this week. Last night I came out here for like a half hour and got a million tomatoes because I just put it off for a while. I actually had to toss a bunch because they had split from all this rain, but it's no big deal. But that's my challenge to you. Next time you're out in your garden, think about what can I do to make this a space I want to spend more time in. And I think if you do that, you'll be really rewarded. So hope your garden's doing great. Get out there. It's time to garden.